Good morning, everybody. I can feel the fall coolness and kind of the smell, the freshness. We got a bit of a sprinkle yesterday, but just not much. It didn't do a whole lot. There's a little bit of a breeze this morning. You can hear the wind chimes again. And I've got my coffee. So I'm ready to go. We're doing an awful lot of talk about the rapture. It's the season for it. They're all predicting. They're either predicting it's the season or they're predicting it's the day now. Everybody confuses the phrase, do not know the day or the hour, with talking about the rapture, but it's not. It's talking strictly about the second coming. There's really nothing giving us a timeline for the rapture. It is imminent. So it's as imminent today as it was yesterday or the day tomorrow. We're told to be ready. But that doesn't mean that we're to sit around and fret about it. We're to sit around and do nothing for fear or complacency, just to occupy space. We have time to do things. Now, should you be worrying about whether or not you need to put a new roof on your house? Well, if it needs it and you've got the money, you might want to schedule it. And if you never get to it, you never get to it. If it's that imminent. Or maybe you got a doctor's appointment. Go to the doctor's appointment. But one thing you don't want to do is look at the world and go, oh my God, it's going to happen anytime. I'm just going to sit back and fret and worry and be afraid. You're never supposed to do that. Never. With God in control, we are never to be afraid. Now, can we completely dispel that? No. But you got to look at it from the point of view of we love to scare ourselves to a degree. We ride roller coasters. That is not a normal thing. Some people jump out of airplanes. Once you get used to it, I guess it's okay, but the first jump you watch these people, it's ah! And they do the same thing on roller coasters. But we recover from it. We're frightened for a bit, we recover from it. We realize there's really no danger. Not any more danger than walking across the street and getting hit by a coconut. Yes, it's possible. But these things are designed for safety. The last thing they want to do is to create the fear that their ride is unsafe. Nobody will ride it. So, the world is frightening. Mobs are breaking into stores and stealing thousands of dollars worth of goods. And nobody's doing anything. Lawlessness abounds. Remember that? But don't be afraid. Now, we're not talking about the rapture time. We're just talking about the end of the season. We're near the end of the end, if you will. Jesus told us in Matthew 24, we're going to take a look at that. 24:6. You're familiar with this verse, but think about all of it. And you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. Well, they're all over the place, and they've been for a long time. But they seem to be increasing. They haven't actually started a war yet. Ukraine, it's not really a war, it's a political toy. And all the money we're sending them is money laundering. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. And it goes on. We're not to be afraid. Jesus himself is telling us not to be afraid. So don't worry. Paul says whether I'm alive, I'm with Jesus, or whether I'm dead, I'm with Jesus. Either way, it's a win-win situation. We just want an easy out. We want to be able to just float out of here, but we're not floating. The second coming is in a twinkling of an eye. Well, what's the original rapture for? It just says we're going to go up fast. But is it going to be a roller coaster ride? Is it going to look and feel like, I posted that picture of the rocket taking off, of us looking down, seeing the earth get smaller and smaller? The clouds are not that far up. In fact, fog is a cloud, so if you've got clouds on the ground, that's fog. But, we don't know how far we're going to go up. We're going to go up out of sight is essentially what's going to happen. Jesus is not coming back to earth. That would be the second coming. He's coming to rescue us. We've been reading and watching rescue scenes for a long time. All of our hero movies that we watch are rescue. But as a kid, I remember watching an old cartoon, Dudley Do-Right. I don't make up the names, I'm just reporting. He was a Canadian Mountie. Well, this was on the Bugs Bunny Bullwinkle hour when they had that, so they were trying to include more places to make us familiar. There are Canadian Mounties. They do dress in that funny red outfit, if you want to call it funny. They don't blend into nature like our Rangers, where they're wearing khaki and green and things like that. They're wearing red. I guess that you can see them coming. I also didn't know as a kid that names meant something. His nemesis in the cartoon was Snidely Whiplash. And if we watch the Bullwinkle show, their villains, Boris Bad Enough. Was he bad enough? See, we never caught that. We're studying the Bible. You've got to really pick up on that. Names mean something. Abram, father. Abba. It starts off the same way. Abraham, father of many. So all these names mean something. But that's, again, off topic. So we're talking about this cartoon where the villain ties the damsel in distress to a railroad track. Why? Because he's a bad guy. That's what bad guys do. They do bad things. We never got to see her run over as kids because Dudley Do-Right would always rescue her. But you got to see the tension back and forth. You see him tie her to the tracks and stand back and, with the black mustache and the black hat. Bad guys wore black hats, so we could identify them. And they'd show the train off at a very small train at the distance. And then it's back to her. Back to the train, it's closer. You see Dudley Do-Right hopping on his horse, backwards at first and then turning around apparently, coming to save her. But it's just back and forth. Is he going to get there in time? And she's flailing about, screaming. Dudley Do-Right is coming. You can hear the train now. It's tooting its horn. You can see the smoke coming up now. As it's coming faster and faster, it appears. It's going the same speed, but as it's getting closer, it appears to be coming faster. You can actually feel the tracks vibrate as it gets real close. He saves her at the last second, it seems like. So we have heroes. And we've had him since childhood. Jesus is our hero, our Savior and our hero. And he will come and get us and save us from what's coming. I had someone comment yesterday that they don't believe in the pre-trib, but they will accept the pre-wrath. Well, just because it's not called wrath, bad things can still happen. And I don't think, this is my opinion, I've got two things to back it up with. I don't think we're going to be here for the first half of the bad things. The wrath of God, the bowls of wrath, come after the midpoint of the 70th week, after the abomination. Then God finally lets loose his wrath. But we're also the restrainer. That's a biblical verse. The Spirit is restrainer, and we have the Spirit in us. So I think we have to get out of the way before all this can happen. The white horse is the Antichrist. Somebody said they thought the white horse is already here. Well, I guarantee you, the man who will become the Antichrist is here now. But he's not the Antichrist. He has to be killed, resurrected, gets the demon spirit in him, and then he's the Antichrist. But the man is here. Now, do you call that the white horse? I don't know if you want to call it that he came here on a white horse. He's coming here to pretend to be Jesus. I don't know that he's going to do that until after he has the Spirit. So the white horse I don't think is here yet. It could be, but it's not a matter of, we know for sure. And the thing is, as I mentioned to a couple of people, we're talking prophecy now. Make sure you're grounded in the gospel, that you are definitely a Christian and you're going to heaven. You're appreciative of Jesus dying for you. You've accepted his free gift of life, eternal life, and that you're going to heaven. Once you've got that, we can debate the rest of it until he gets there. If I get a chance to, I tell the other Rapture versions that we will be more than happy to laugh with you when we're all pre-trib raptured. For those that are waiting for the pre-wrath and the post-trib, we can all laugh together when we go up pre-trib. But if we're not, whatever the timing is, we don't know. It's not because we don't know the day or the hour, that's the second coming. But it just really doesn't tell us. We don't have anything that specifically says this is when the rapture is. Because it's tied to an event, but not a Jewish holiday. It's tied to Satan coming to earth with a third of his angels. And we don't know the timing on that. God knows the timing, because God knows everything. He's got the whole timeline laid out. But he doesn't want us to know, so that Satan won't know. It's real simple why we don't know. If it was important, we would know. It's not. Just know that we're in the season. We know Christmas is a couple of months away. Some people might start putting decorations out next month or the following month. We're getting preparation together to celebrate Christmas. We don't put decorations up on the 24th. They're up for at least a month, some for 2 months. Some say I won't put Christmas up until after Thanksgiving. Tradition. It's just a matter of taste. The bottom line is we prepare for that. We know it's coming. We happen to know an exact date. But keeping in mind that Christmas, as we celebrate it on the 25th of December, is not Christ's birthday. They didn't exactly know when it was, but it coincided with time to work, and it wasn't really a good time to hunker down and get together for family. They also found that they could celebrate Christmas during a time when they were killing Christians. They could celebrate it during a pagan holiday season, and they wouldn't know that it was a Christmas holiday party. They just think they were celebrating the pagan party. These were celebrated in, closed rooms for the most part. But we know he's coming. Let's see what else I got here on my list. And even, just the thought of the rapture scares some people. Like I said, if you're going to go jump out of an airplane, parachute out. Some people say, why jump out of a perfectly good airplane? For the fun of it, for the thrill of it. Why do we climb mountains? Because they're there. The thrill of it. Why do we watch adventurous movies? Movies with Tom Cruise? For the thrill of it. There has to be conflict in a film, real or perceived, to make it interesting. I used to watch an old TV series, it's, I think, 2007 time frame, called Leverage. And there's a new one out that's a reboot of it, Leverage Redemption. If you haven't seen it, I recommend it. It's fairly wholesome. There's tension throughout. It's a modern day A-team where you've got 5 different experts. Expert negotiator, expert at picking locks, expert at doing other things, acrobatic work. So they can basically fit. They grab the right people for the right scenario for whatever comes up. And they beat the bad guy in his own game, which is fun. So I like that. I've worked with a couple of the actors in it from time to time, so they're good people. And the producer is Dean Devlin. He's given us movies like Stargate, Independence Day, so hero type stuff. But as we wait, what is this rapture going to feel like? Is it going to be scary? We don't know. Again, do not be afraid. Now, I've told you in the past that there are, some people say that there are 365 instances of do not be afraid in the Bible. Well, technically, that's wrong, but if you listen for a bit, it's right. Do not be afraid is only used about 100 times. But do not fear, that's also used. There's nothing to fear but fear itself. There's all kinds of ways to say do not be afraid. When things get bad, trust God. It's essentially saying do not be afraid. So if you count all the variations, there's 365 you can find anyway. One a day is what it amounts to. The bottom line is God's got everything in control, no matter how chaotic it seems. It's called controlled chaos. Now the devil uses it as his tool. God uses the devil as a tool. Yes, that's why he's still here. God doesn't like to hurt people. He's a God of love. So I think he keeps his trusty, obnoxious sidekick around, Satan. It simply just means adversary. Lucifer, the most beautiful angel ever created, full of pride and thinks he's better than God. I think he keeps him around to do his dirty work because God can't do it. And God doesn't punish. He never punishes anybody. He allows us to punish ourselves. Don't touch the fire, you get burnt. You ever tell your kids that? You ever see a hand go into a fire and jerk back and say, ow, and start crying? They didn't believe you. A lot of people don't believe God. But he's warning us. And we have people astray all over the place. Apostasy. Fallen away. Now, if you're a Christian, you can't fall out of losing your Christianity, your salvation. If you ever get to the point, I think, of losing your salvation, because there are you can blaspheme the Holy Spirit. He doesn't like that. You can take the mark of the beast. I think anybody who might have that tendency, God will remove beforehand, because he made a promise. Accept Jesus and you will live forever. He won't let you step outside that boundary. But if you've never accepted Christ, you don't have that assurance. You can die and never get to heaven. That is frightening. That is the most frightening thing you can ever imagine. Don't play with that. Accept Christ and you won't have to worry about it. So let's look at a couple more verses here. Let's take a look at John 14:1. Let not your heart be troubled. Jesus again. We're getting this from the horse's mouth. This isn't somebody's opinion. This is a quote from Jesus. Let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go to prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you to myself, that where I am, there you may be also. And where I'm going, you know, and the way you know. He ascended into a cloud. We're going to go the same way. Now, he probably went slowly so we could all watch. We may go fast. But in the blink of an eye, how much are we going to see? You ever been in a car crash or something, or fall or something? Everything slows down and your camera in your brain is going click, 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 click. You're in high speed filming, so everything slows down. So if we go in the blink of an eye, we can still see blink of an eye. Because when those rockets take off, they're going pretty fast. They start off slow, but they go fast. We're just going to start off fast. But we can get that camera going slow. Speculation, but fun to speculate. Okay. 14:27. Peace I leave with you. Jesus again. I'm giving you right straight from the horse's mouth here. This is not something that somebody has and you can say, well, that's his opinion. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. Not as the world gives do I give to you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. Another variation of the do not be afraid. So you can count that. And I'm just going to give you one Old Testament reference. It starts, do not be afraid, back in Genesis. So it's all throughout the Bible. And we're going to look at Proverbs 3:25. Do not be afraid of sudden terror, nor of trouble from the wicked one when it comes. For the Lord will be your confidence and will keep your foot from being caught. God knows all about what Satan's up to, even when he tries to come to earth and kill the child in Revelation 12:3 it starts. God already knows about it, knows when he's going to do it, and he's ready to rescue us. What are we going to see? I don't know. First off, we don't want to be afraid now when things are relatively calm. Remember when peace comes to Jerusalem. We, of course, can rationalize, and we're not under distress right now. What if my alert goes off on my phone? Imminent nuclear attack, take shelter. That's a time to be afraid. When I worked in aerospace, I worked in buildings that were bomb shelters. And we had practice procedures that we would run from our work. Depending on the alert level, we'd go to the one in our current building, or if we had time, we'd get into the tunnel system and get into the really underground stuff that could handle a direct nuclear hit. But I told everybody when I was doing this, go right ahead and run. I'd rather be ground zero when it goes off. I don't want to be part of the aftermath. We've seen too many horror movies of what the future looks like after a nuclear war. Sci-fi, whether it's Terminator or The Matrix or any of these fictional examples of what could be. If you knew that there was nuclear bombs coming down, you'd be afraid. The Bible says don't be. Our rapture is going to be before we get killed. So you may actually see it coming down, like in War of the Worlds, where they saw him going off in there, and he sees the building start to shake and collapse and lava coming out of the ground. Not far-fetched. Not War of the Worlds, The Time Machine, excuse me. Got my sci-fi mixed up. The Time Machine, where he escapes the time in hopes that it would be better. It's still mankind in the future. He doesn't talk about God. God saves us from that future. So we are going to be rescued. So don't fear the rapture. Don't fear the reaper, like the song says. We're going to a far better place. That if we could actually go there as a visit, he'd have to drag us screaming back here to this world. That's going to be... All right, I'm going to have to fix that because it's bugging me. There, I don't want to end off on a bad note. We're told so many times, and you can argue how many, of not to be afraid. That's okay. We probably will be up to a point, but I think that that's one of the reasons that for the rapture and the second coming, where we get in the blink of an eye, it's going to be fast. We're not going to have time to be afraid. Some events where people die are so fast, they don't even know that they're dead until they are, if they're Christians, greeted by Jesus. Keep the smile on your face. The bad people think you're up to something and want to know why you're smiling. An opening to talk about Jesus. Don't be at work complaining. If you don't like it, get another job. You say, I can't get another job. Well, with that attitude, you can't. Begin looking. Look for open doors. They may open. Pray to Jesus about your work. He may give you a better attitude. He may give you a better manager. And he may give you a better job. Whatever your situation, it's the same way. He may give you a better attitude, a better situation, people that are fun to work with. If you're fun to work with, you might make it pleasant for other people to go to work. You don't like the church. You say they don't have what it needs. Well, maybe they don't. Maybe they don't have you. Look for opportunities. Doors open and close on a perfect time frame if you're walking with Jesus. I'm still not in another house, and my time's sort of running up on here. And it's not, I do change my shirts occasionally to collared shirts. I do have a lot of t-shirts. I've still got the same stack of clothes that I had when we were camping, because I'm still camping. I'm just in a room. I share a room, and there's not a lot of space. This was temporary, to look for a place. The price of everything is really going up. People aren't going to be able to afford to live soon. It's part of the end times. Ask God to help. He promised to take care of our needs. Food and shelter is one of them. I'm trying to find a place mainly for my son, not so much for me. I'd rather be camping. And I may go back to camping if I can get him situated. So pray that one way or the other things will get fixed up for that. I've got till the middle of October to make up my mind what I'm going to do. He's got some things he's doing that he's got to stay here for. Got another doctor's appointment before he goes back to Peru, if he goes back there this next month. And if he does, he's helping the church there, and so we're going to put his fundraiser back up. We're still doing things. We're not sitting around complacent. You could be complacent. I've done everything I need to do. I don't have to do anything more. Or you can be confidently unafraid and just keep working. One of my independent films is going to be released on the 2nd. I'll put a link to it. This guy likes making campy videos. Wholesome but campy. You know, the original Batman is campy. Wholesome but campy. The new stuff is pretty dark. But the original was just fun to watch. Kids could watch it. It's campy. Well, that's the way this guy likes making his independent films. And I've been working with him all year. And you see a couple of cameos from my son. I wish I could get him doing more, but it's, with his condition, it's hard. So pray for him, his health. Pray for finding some place to permanently stay. And pray that we won't be afraid as we wait. We're watching things get bad. Mobs robbing stores. Stores closing permanently because they can't keep up with it because the police will do nothing. Thousands coming across the border. I think in July it was 230,000 illegals coming across the border. And they will be given IDs and indoctrinated in and money given to them. They will get more benefits than veterans. Yeah, makes you angry. Jesus, here this is. This plate's too full of anger. Take it. There's nothing we can do. We can pray about it. But we can't fight it physically. This is not a physical fight. This is a spiritual fight. And they're doing everything they can to egg us on to make us want to physically fight. Be careful. Don't do that. If the school system's no good where you're at, find another place to go to school. Eventually, they're all going to be corrupt, but find another place or do homeschooling. Eventually, the government's going to say, bow down to this leader or die. Eventually, it's going to get to that. But we will be gone. We're keeping the Antichrist from doing what he wants to do, so he's not here yet. Not in the spiritual form. Keep working. Be diligent. We're still running the race. We're not going to cross a finish line and get a banner to run through or tape to run through. We're going to be running and go up. So don't stop running until there's nothing to run on. Until we meet in the clouds. God bless.